First off, there's no question we're on a kind of rolling freight train that's leading us into obstruction of justice territory. This was a dark day, in my opinion, for President Trump, but it's really the beginning, and it may be the beginning of the end of Trump. Tomorrow, I think you're going to have what surprised. I was surprised that the 7-page letter came out today, but then it started making sense. But I think tomorrow they're going to be talking about that May 9th letter that Trump wrote to Comey firing him. And I'd be curious to find what Comey thinks about his own firing. That was not in today's letter, so we'll have to watch and listen to that tomorrow.
You think what was written in this letter is, what wasn't written in the letter is just as important, if not more, than what was written in this memo?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Going to be a lot of follow-up questions. And he did the senators a favor by putting this out early in a sense, because it allows them to figure out their follow-up questions. Otherwise, if we just heard this first time tomorrow, it would have been, you wouldn't have had as good of questioning. So I think it was a shrewd move by Comey, and it shows that he's really trying to cooperate.
Mm-hmm. The president asking Comey for loyalty, is this new territory? Have you ever heard of a president asking something like that from an FBI director? And, you know, having the dinner alone, meeting with him in the Oval Office alone, calling him up, you know, at will. Have you ever heard of anything like this?
No, we're in a real low moment in U.S. presidential history. Today, in many ways, was sad that we have a president operating in such a fashion. It did ring the bell of June 23, 1973, that famous moment on the Nixon tapes when you hear that they're trying to say, can we get the FBI, can we get the CIA, Nixon said, to somehow undermine the investigation of the FBI. Mm-hmm. So it's the reason why Nixon's in the air so much is there are some striking similarities. And also, Don, keep in mind what I'm waiting for, and I saw it today, Republican senators are starting to get ticked off at Donald Trump. Marco Rubio was, I thought, quite fierce today. And it'll be interesting to see if there does become a gang of 8 or 10 Republican senators that are really going to hold the president accountable for his actions. I think that we might see that happening. It was Barry Goldwater, among many other Republicans, who nailed Nixon.
It does seem that every question from President Trump to Comey is really based on self-interest, and you know, he's trying to clear his own name. Doesn't appear to be concerned that much about people around him, and that would mean, you know, other Republicans.
Well, that's right. I mean, and the big thing is Donald Trump only cares about himself. But I've been listening to your show, and David Axelrod keeps making a very important point. What is going on with Mike Flynn? What is this guy up to? Why is he, you know, I mean, and I think the big question is going to be, does, you know, he didn't respond to a subpoena. He's pleaded the 5th. But will Flynn eventually, if he gets an immunity deal, really explain what happened? At this point in time, it sort of reminds me of Iran-Contra in a way. Oliver North got into all sorts of hot water. But, you know, Flynn could be looking at a prison sentence coming up, and I'll be curious to see where in coming weeks where that ends up with Flynn.